let's look at another element. This one is called input, and there are many different types of input elements, and we're going to focus on text and button. You can learn more about other input types by going to the W3 Schools link below. Let's start with the input element of type text. By adding this attribute, type equals text, we can create an input box on our page. So we want to put that in the body. I can just paste it in there. And I save and refresh, and now I have a box that I can type in input on my page. The reason why it is an input box for text is because we gave it an attribute of text. There's another attribute that we can use on the input element, and that is disabled. In this case, it is not a name-value pair, but just a keyword that indicates that we can't type into this input box because we've disabled it. So if I add that to my element, and notice that I'm keeping my attributes inside the angle brackets of my input tag. Now if I refresh it, I have to save first, and refresh, and now it's grayed out and I can't type anything in it. This can be useful if we want to programmatically put something into that box, but we want it to have the same appearance as a regular input text box. Another type of input element is the button. We can create a button on our page by using that attribute type of button. So let's go ahead and put that button on the page. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to refresh, and you can see I've added a button to my page. Now notice that even though this is on multiple lines, everything is still within the angle brackets. In HTML, just like in JavaScript, white space doesn't matter. It could all be on one line, but then that makes it harder to read because it's falling off the end of our view here. So even though it's the same, and I can show you by saving it, there's no difference. It's nice to make things readable. And so I just like to line up the attributes here, and then you can see that this is all one input element and it has 3 attributes. Let's talk about these attributes. The type is what indicates that it will be a button. The value is what is written on the button. So we have convert to meters here, and you can see that on the button it also says convert to meters. And then the action for the button is one place we can start adding JavaScript. Here we can say, I don't know how to convert it yet, in an alert. So we know how alert works. That pops up a box and puts the parameter that we passed in that box. So let's see if that works. There we go. We just ran some JavaScript on our HTML page. Now the tricky thing about putting your JavaScript right in the on-click is that, remember, attributes have to be inside quotation marks. Well, not only does the attribute have to have quotation marks around the complete information for the attribute, when you're writing code, whenever you have a string, you also need to have quotation marks around it. And you can see here, I use single quotes around my string. We had been using double quotes. What if I change these to double quotes? Well, we have a bit of a problem here. Because the quotation mark is the same symbol, whether it's opening or closing, it doesn't know that I don't want to close the quote for the attribute. It thinks that the attribute is just alert open parentheses, And then it starts saying, well, these must be attributes because I don't know what else they could be. But they're not. You have to switch quotation marks between single and double so that it doesn't think that you're closing out the quotation marks before you are. So this entire string is in double quotation marks, and if we want to be good programmers, we'll put our semicolon in there with it. And then the inner quotation marks represents the string. I don't know how to convert it yet. We're going to look at using functions on the onClick so that we don't have to worry about switching quotation marks all the time.